When the United States Congress comes after veterans, they will come after you. Every American sitting at home right now needs to realize that you are paying for a genocide.
So now decorated officers in the U.S. military are finally standing up and in Senate hearings to speak out against the genocide that the United States is complicit in and funding in and doing it in our names. And they're being arrested. These are decorated veterans of the U.S. military being arrested by cops. And if you don't think that they're going to turn on the cops, as soon as the cops say something sensible, they will. So let's watch this.
You're complicit in a genocide! You're complicit in a genocide!
It is an honor to
United States government
All right.
is complicit to genocide.
Hang on just a second.
You have an obligation to the Constitution of the United States.
Off to jail.
Disabled veterans.
There's a genocide! There's a genocide!
You
Stop
are all
funding-
complicit in genocide.
Ma'am, you're not allowed to film in here. We told you this earlier.
You're complicit in a genocide! You're complicit in a genocide! Eddie, there's a genocide! Eddie, there's a genocide! Come on, Eddie! There's a genocide! You're complicit in genocide of the Palestinian people! You are complicit! Come on, Eddie! Eddie, help us!
She was filming.
Eddie, help us save them! Come on!
She filmed in her room.
The Israeli terrorists are committing a genocide, and the U.S. Congress and Senate are complicit in funding the bombs that are forcing children to be slaughtered and massacred. Shame on this government. The United States of America is complicit in genocide. The Israeli terrorists are starving children.
If they'll arrest veterans, they'll arrest you.
Stop the bombs! Stop the bombs!
Arresting us for speaking out against genocide.
Stop the bombs!
The U.S.
Stop the
Congress
bombs!
is paying for the
Stop
death of children,
slaughtering babies!
women and children.
Stop slaughtering babies!
When the United States Congress comes after veterans, they will come after you. Every American sitting at home right now needs to realize that you are paying for a genocide.
That's Anthony Aguilar, served in the U.S. military 25 years. He's also a former contractor for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
Rise up, America! Rise up! It is time to take back this country from these corrupt politicians. It is time. It is beyond time.
That's retired Captain Josephine Gilbew. She's a 17-year Army veteran who protested at other congressional hearings.
Is burning children alive.
That was back in December of 2024.
Burning children alive.
They were removed from the Senate Relations Committee hearing moments after
Distinguished members of
interrupting.
this committee. It is an honor
The
to
United States government is complicit in genocide.
So I'm going to bring in Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar. He's a retired 25-year U.S. Army Green Beret veteran who served in multiple conflict zones, including Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and the Philippines. Before working as a security contractor in Gaza, he became a prominent whistleblower after alleging that the U.S.-backed aid operation Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was responsible for war crimes, including the deliberate targeting of starving Palestinian civilians at food distribution sites, stating that he witnessed Israeli forces and U.S. contractors using tanks, mortars, and live fire against unarmed aid seekers. Welcome to the show, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your time with me.
Thank you for everything you're doing. Tell me about what led you. That was on September 3rd, correct? That you stood up at that Senate hearing and you got arrested for it. Tell me what your thinking was and what went into that.
So, first of all, what I would like to say about that moment is when I stood up and I raised what I had in my hand was a copy of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And when I stood up in that room, that was the Foreign Affairs Committee. I didn't choose just a random committee like the FDA or Parks and Rec. I deliberately chose to go into the Foreign Affairs Committee because they nominate ambassadors and they pick which countries we fund and military sales. They're the ones. So up other than the day I commissioned from West Point and raised my right hand and swore an oath to the Constitution, that there, more so than graduating from Ranger School, earning my Green Beret, my Purple Heart, Bronze Star for Valor in Combat, that there is probably one of the most proudest moments of my adult life. Why? Because I'm doing what the Constitution obligates us to do as Americans. So when I attended that committee meeting, Congress had been out on recess. They came back on Monday, or no work Monday. They had a administrative day Tuesday, and then we knew that they would be back in session. So I specifically chose to go to this session, and I entered the Dirksen business building, or the Senate building. Under we're allowed to enter that building as citizens. That is the people's house, and I lined up and signed up like everybody else does to go into the committee meeting. And I sat there and I listened to the opening remarks, and I made a point to speak directly to Senator Risch, who is the chairman of that committee, who is one of the largest recipients of AIPAC money of any of our senators. He is one of the largest recipients of money from a foreign government. To remind all of them in that room that they too swore an oath to the Constitution. I swore an oath to the Constitution. I served it for 25 years in uniform, to include 4 wars and 12 combat deployments, being wounded and leading America's sons and daughters in war. They swore an oath to the Constitution also. And right now, with the United States allowing and being complicit and funding with taxpayers' dollars what is going on in Gaza is a violation of the Constitution. And it's not something that I can just stay quiet about. I have petitioned my government. I have protested my government. I have written to my government. I've gone to the halls of the Capitol and I've spoken to senators and congressmen, and nothing is being done. We are at a point that if nothing is done and continues to not be done, the people of Gaza won't exist. They are on the verge of extinction. It is a genocide, and we are days away, not months, not years, days and weeks. Every day we watch northern Gaza being pounded into the ground. That's the only place that Palestinians still exist, still live, other than having been moved to the south to the concentration camp that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, paid for by the United States, runs. We are the guards in the concentration camp. We are turning the lever of the gas chamber. And I think most Americans aren't okay with that, but they need to know. So that was why I went there on that day, was to petition my government as a United States citizen.
And so you are a whistleblower because you allege that the aid operation that is backed by the United States, it's called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, is responsible for war crimes. And tell me what led you to speak out about that, and what you witnessed, and what was the repercussions?
When I was first hired by UG Solutions, which is a subcontract under the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, specifically to provide the armed security in Gaza for the humanitarian aid mission, we were told that we would be taking over, we would be assuming that UN mission of 400 community-based outreach, community-based humanitarian assistance sites, that we would be providing food, bringing it to the people. Within the first day of going into Gaza, I realized that we had been lied to. And my initial impression, because I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt, that this is a complicated and complex environment, and maybe this was just something that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and Safe Reach Solutions and UG Solutions just didn't understand, went into this not understanding. Day after day, it became more evident to me that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was complicit in the planning through the Boston Consulting Group, through GHF's original planning in the blueprint for how these sites would be established and where they would be established. And it became clear to me, without question, from 25 years of experience in the Army and seeing how plans are done and how wars are fought and how humanitarian assistance and humanitarian aid is done at scale in war-torn countries. This isn't my first rodeo. And it became very clear to me that the entire plan, from where the sites were built, how they were intended to draw and displace the population, forcing the population to traverse through killing fields in order to reach these sites, giving them wholly inadequate food and no water, all of these elements violate international humanitarian law in general, but also violate the protocols of the Geneva Convention, which Israel is a signatory to, which the United States is a signatory to, and are conventions and protocols that cannot and should not be violated, and if violated, not tolerated. And the United States is hand in hand with the Israeli government in the starvation, in the dehumanization, in the engineered and designed famine that is now taking place en route in Gaza. And these are not fantasies or things that are made up. The world, everyone else in the world, to include all of the institutions that we trust, doctors, soldiers, the IDF themselves, IDF agencies within the Israeli government have all declared and dictated that there is a famine, there is starvation, and the United States is hand in glove with the Israeli government in seeing this thing through. And that's something that, as an American, I can't stand by silently.
And so, what were some of the ramifications of you, besides you being arrested at that Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing? What happened to you for telling the truth about this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and the complicity of the United States government in this genocide?
Well, you know, I'm very blessed in this process that that the situation that I'm in, that I don't really have to care what people think. I'm not in this for the popularity. I'm not in this for the clicks or the likes or the follows. I have no social media. I'm retired. Before GHS called me and asked me to go work for them, I was working in the garden section at Lowe's, living a nice, quiet life. I don't need anybody's support. I'm glad to have, and the support has been amazing. But for the haters and for those that want to smear me, it doesn't matter. My wife served as a career Army officer. She too served in the United States Army, 82nd Airborne Division, Special Forces. She wasn't a Special Forces officer, but she served in Special Forces units. And when I was in Gaza and I talked to her at night about what I was experiencing and how it was weighing on me, not just what I saw in terms of the war, but my consciousness in terms of how the United States was complicit in these very clear violations of international humanitarian law. And, you know, my wife listened and talked me through it. And when I got home, when I resigned and I came home and I shared with my wife more of these stories more in depth, it was my wife, my family, my spouse that said, you have to talk to the media. You have to make this story known. You have to be a voice for these Palestinian people that have been ignored and that are treated just so inhumanely. You have to be a voice. And I said, okay, well, I'll think about it. I'm going to Congress first. My first stop was Congress. Talked to Senator Van Hollen, Senator Welch, Senator Sanders, Senator Langford, Senator Tillis, many others on the Hill, congressmen, senators, Republicans and Democrats. And for the most part, just business as usual. And when I got back from Washington, D.C., and I talked to my wife, I said, I've talked to some press, but I want to be anonymous. And my wife said, if you stay anonymous, you are a coward and you're not the man I married. She's like, you have to put your voice to this. People are dying. And if you can't speak to this and put your name on it, then you shouldn't speak at all. Don't be a coward. So I have my marching orders from my ethics and from my family, in that what I'm doing is for the greater cause of our country, America first. And any criticism or pushback that I get, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm a completely 100% totally and disabled veteran. And when those individuals there put handcuffs on me and they pulled my right shoulder behind my back, you know, I remember a time when I was hit with an RPG and, you know, wounded in my right shoulder, and my right shoulder was, you know, broken, and I had to have surgery. And here I now am in our Congress and having a Capitol Police officer arrest me as a veteran for speaking to Congress to ask them to follow the Constitution. That should scare every American, that when a veteran who served this country in 4 wars, every war, every conflict that my country sent me to fight, I went without question. And now that I'm looking at what we're involved in, and I see that we're involved in the designed genocide, designed starvation, the killing of women and children, my initial position on this, not being pro-Palestine, anti-Israel, pro this, pro that, whatever the case may be, can't we just all, as a human race, come together and agree that the starvation and killing of children is beneath us? Can't we just agree to that? Can't we start there? And we can't even do that. Every day, the world stand by and we watch women and children dying at scale. And the world is doing nothing about it.
And so, I mean, it's great that you are standing up and you're putting your name to this, and you know your rank inside the U.S. military attached to it, and your veteran status. What do you think it's going to take? It doesn't seem like, and nothing is going to move the United States government. I saw Kirsten Gillibrand say 9 out of 10 Democrats are on board with Israel. I mean, she means elected Democrats. She doesn't mean actual people, because the people, Republican, Democrat, Independents, they're all against what Israel's doing. They're all against Zionism. They're all against this genocide. So again, you know, we've said on this show many times, you do not live in a democracy. This is not a democracy. This is an oligarchy. And, you know, our foreign policy is run at the behest of another country, much smaller than us, Israel. And it seems like our government is run by a bunch of blackmailed pedos. And what is it, do you think, that's going to finally break through and have the government reflect the will of the people on this?
Well, what I find deeply saddening, and when I first returned from Gaza, and I thought that, you know, if I speak to Congress and share my experience, that surely people would say, "There's what going on? We can't stand for that." And then I come to learn that people like, "Yeah, we've been saying that for a while, dude. Like, welcome to the show. Welcome to reality." I'm like, "Yeah. Why are we ignoring this?" And from what I've seen, the plans, the operational plans that I have seen and that have been played out and have been laid out and are being executed in Gaza. Phase 1, clear the south, isolate the central, isolate the north, destroy everything and move everyone south out of central Gaza. And that happened. Operation Gideon's Chariots. Phase 2, push through the central, destroy it, level it, continue to push everybody south to the UN camps. Oh, by the way, the UN camps are now no longer run by the UN. So they're not camps, they're death traps. Phase 3, displace all Palestinians to the south, those that survive. And by the way, the 2.7 kilometer area concentration camp that Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has built in the south on the remnants of what was once Rafah. And I invite everybody to watch the Breaking Points interview that I did this morning, where the GHF spokesman even said himself, the IDF have turned Rafah into rubble. The first true thing that man has said in a while. And when you look at the concentration camp that is now being built on the remains of Rafah, and all Palestinians are being displaced to the south. Phase 3, Operation Gideon's Chariots 2, the offensive into Gaza. This isn't something that just came to be or something that might have happened because it had to be. It was planned from the beginning. And Operation Gideon's Chariots 2, crossing the Netzarim corridor into the north, which we see every day. Anyone that's turned on their TV in the last 4 days has seen incessant, constant bombing. Leaflets being dropped 20 minutes before they level a high-rise building. Everybody that survives that is being sent 20 kilometers to the south, where they are held in these concentration camps. I fear that the only thing our Congress is going to be doing is signing the approval for the cenotaph that's going to be built in downtown Washington or in New York City or in Gaza to memorialize the 2.2 million people that were killed. Because we're too late. If we don't do something now, we are too late. The final solution is in motion, and the United States continues to turn its cheek. And what I would say to the people of the United States, by the 18th of August, when the 1-year referendum runs out from the ICJ and claiming that what's being done violates criminal law, guess who's going to be right beside Israel when the world condemns us? The United States. On the 23rd of September at the UN General Assembly, when multiple nations, to include some of our closest allies, and I mean allies, remember, Israel is not an ally. Israel is not an ally of the United States. They are a close partner. They are not an ally. But our allies, France, Canada, Germany, Britain, Australia, others, are now going to go into the United Nations on the 23rd of September, 22nd to the 23rd on the Palestinian Day, and recognize the Palestinian state. And there will not be a state to recognize, because the entire territory will be destroyed and under occupation, and every Palestinian will be dead or sent out of the territory. And the United States is a part of it. I fear that that's now the course that we are on, and that our politicians and our leaders do not care. But I still hope that the American people care. I hope that the American people still care about the reputation of our country on the world stage, that our taxpayers care about what their taxpayers are going to fund. And I'm not just talking about the bombs that are being dropped. That's one aspect of it. I'm talking about the taxpayers' dollars that are going to fund the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation that is building the concentration camp in Rafah, where thousands will die. That has our name on it. There will be Americans, American contractors wearing U.S. flags on their contractor uniform, guarding a concentration camp. Let that sink in.
So it's basically it's basically if the United States were guarding a concentration camp in Nazi Germany, that they were doing the slaughter and the genocide of the Jewish people. Now we're doing it to the Palestinian people. We're literally the guards in a concentration camp. United States. It's almost mind blowing.
It is mind blowing.
I don't really. So the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is, it's kind of an oxymoron, right? The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, they're just really people running concentration camps and leading to the genocide of the Palestinians. That they're not humanitarian, correct?
They don't care about Gaza. They aren't humanitarian, and they aren't even a foundation. They are a shell company to receive and flow money, to make money, to profit. Nothing they do is humanitarian. They provide no water. They provide meals that, in the volume of meals they provide, give a Palestinian one meal every 2 days, a 220 calorie meal every 2 days. That's not humanitarian. That's barbaric. And they sure as heck don't care about Gaza. What the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation cares about is the real estate, to be the first one in to set the flag for the future Riviera plan. And I don't say that tongue in cheek. The Boston Consulting Group, when the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was just stood up in February as part of the administration's innovative ways of, for policy. Let's be innovative. Tell you, genocide is not innovative. It's a tale as old as time. So they're not even good at evil. And when they put together this plan, it was always the plan from the very beginning. When the Boston Consulting Group, with their logo on the blueprint for the Riviera, the Gaza Lago, the Gaza Riviera, whatever, Gaza Resort, whatever you want to call it, that there's an image that the Boston Consulting Group had that they put out. It was kind of like if a developer is going to show a new neighborhood and they're like, oh, welcome to Willow Springs. Here it is, piece of America. So in this sketch of what the future of Gaza would be, that print that the Boston Consulting Group developed before we even started distribution in May is printed in a poster size, 24 by 36 poster that's in the operations center of the GHF Operations Center in Kareem Shalom to run this operation. It is sickening. It is despicable.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you standing up. I appreciate you putting your name to the truth that, we are the terrorists. The United States and Israel are the genociders. We're the terrorists. And, it's been the position of this show for a long time that you're exactly right, that Israel is not an ally. Israel is a cancer, not only on this country, but on the Middle East. And all the wars that we fought in the Middle East have been at the behest of Israel. And the stranglehold they have on our government is unbelievable. And the fact that AIPAC has to register as a foreign agent is under FARA is crazy. It's and which is why people clamor about the Epstein list. People clamor about all that stuff, and it doesn't make a difference. So this is just more proof that you do not live in a democracy, and it's going to take some type of revolution to get control of our country again. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's got to happen, or else it's over. But it seems over. Are you completely pessimistic? I'm completely pessimistic at this point, because if Trump can get MAGA to go along with the Palantir and the increased surveillance of them. I mean, we're already after the 9/11, the Patriot Act. They're collecting every text, phone call, and email you make. You have no right to privacy. That the Fourth Amendment does not matter anymore. They repealed the habeas corpus. I mean, there's this one assault on the Constitution after another assault on the Constitution, and we no longer live in the United States of America. We live in the United States of oligarchy and Israel. And I don't know. I don't know when people are going to stand up en masse and do something about this, but I hope they do. And good on you. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we say goodbye?
Well, I think a couple things so I am disheartened, but I have not lost hope, because I do think that the American people still have a voice and still have agency in this government of ours. We've become complacent over the years. We have become complacent in protecting our constitutional rights, and we really have to stand and protect those, because just think about it. I hate to be the guy that I told you so in a few weeks, but think about it. Right now, the United States is going to federalize and send forces or send activated guard to Illinois, Chicago. Everything that we are seeing that's happening in Gaza, the complete annihilation of a people, the complete genocide of a population. What I will tell every American, that is not a problem in an ocean, across an ocean far, far away in a land you've never heard of. That's going to happen here, right here in the United States. And I fear for what may come for Chicago when our president said, "You're going to find out why I renamed it the Department of War." That should scare all of us. And the other thing that's interesting about Chicago, about Illinois, is that the Illinois State Guard, their state partnership is with Israel. The Illinois State Guard state partnership program is with Israel. Coincidence? I don't think so. So soon, when you see the National Guard federalized and activated and marching in the streets of downtown Chicago, you know who's going to be right behind them? The IDF. Believe it. It's coming. And look it up. Anybody can look this up. Every state National Guard has a state partnership with another country. Illinois has its state partnership with Israel. They train in Israel every year. Israel has a program that accepts the National Guard to Israel. Part of what they have is as the Home Defense Front Command. They share exchange training and TTPs. So keep that in mind, America, that your tax dollars and your training and your America's sons and daughters in uniform are getting trained and the beck and call of the Israeli government. And we have a state right now, a state whose National Guard, if federalized, has a strategic state partnership aligned with Israel.
Wow.
That should scare people.
Well, I've also said on this show that what we do to people overseas, we're going to do to our own people back here. And now you see militarized police everywhere. And, of course, we're the world's biggest penal colony. We have 5% of the world's population, 23% of the world's incarcerated population. And Trump just put $45 billion in for some more prisons. It is scary. This is, a lot of people call it end stage empire. I think we're in it. And it's more of a boot stamping on the face of you forever, and that's where we're at. I didn't know that about Illinois and their state guard. That's
Look it up.
Yep, I believe you. I'm not questioning.
No, I'm just saying if you look it up and read about it, there's some things that are it's mind blowing. It's like what? And the only reason I know that is because having served in the military as a Green Beret. One of my mission sets, one of the missions I had as a Green Beret was to support from the military at large. There's geographic combatant commands, there's Central Command, Southern Command, these different geographic combatant commands. And with each of those combatant commands, there's what's called a theater security cooperation plan, where the United States, through the combatant commands and the host nations in these countries, cooperate. Sounds benign, but back in the United States, National Guard from the states have a partnership with certain countries. Illinois' state partnership is with Israel. That is a fact. I've seen it. It's part of their plan because I helped plan CENTCOM theater security operations. But when I was in Israel, there were U.S. Army National Guard, Illinois National Guard patch-wearing soldiers training there, and it's a fact. And if for anybody out there listening, just go look it up. It's easy to find, and it explains all of it. It's hiding in plain sight, and it makes you think. It just makes you think that, next on the list to activate is Chicago. We'll go from DC to Chicago. I wonder who's laying that blueprint. I wonder who's laying that route. Makes you think.
Yeah. Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar, I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks for your work. And, God save America and God save the Palestinians.
Thank you for your voice and your stance. You've been courageous, and, your voice matters, sir. And for anybody interested out there, if you could please pass the word, the 15th of September, I'll be up in New York City. We're going to demand that the UN pass resolution to stop funding Israel, or to recognize and stop the funding and the allowance of munitions to Israel. So another big day up in New York City on the 15th. And then, of course, UN General Assembly starts in a couple weeks, and that's going to be the opportunity for the world to stand. And we're running out of time. So we got to stand now, or the next thing we'll be doing is writing songs and memories and saying, never again, never again, never again. Sad to say to think that never again, that the last time never again happened, my grandparents were alive. Yeah. We haven't even gone through a century yet, and we're already doing it again.
We're doing it again. And we're doing it, this time in 4K. Everybody sees it.
In 4K, in your living room.
Come see me on tour. I'll be in Sacramento, San Francisco, Irvine, California, Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, Australia, and then Burbank, California, the day after Thanksgiving. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.